So, one really important voice that we need to hear from when we talk about the climate crisis is youth, right? They're the ones who are going to most have to deal with the ramifications, the repercussions of this world that we've created for them, that they are inheriting. I'm really excited to welcome to the stage Faatiha Aayat, who is a 12-year-old United Nations Harvard TEDx speaker, child's rights activist, and climate campaigner, to share with us some of her thoughts.
Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed guests, and the driving force of change present here today. Before I start exploring a topic that ignites hope and urgency in our hearts, the formidable power of youth in the realm of climate justice, I would like to take this opportunity to invite you to embark on a journey that will redefine your perspective on climate justice. In a world in dire need of transformative action, it is our youth who are stepping up as the unsung heroes of our time. First of all, allow me to introduce you to the remarkable story of Autumn Peltier, a fierce indigenous activist from Canada. At just 15 years old, Autumn took the stage at the United Nations, boldly addressing world leaders and advocating for the protection of water, a sacred resource in her indigenous culture. Her story is a profound testament to the connection between indigenous rights and environmental justice, reminding us all that young people carry the weight of both tradition and the promise of a sustainable future. Now travel with me to South Africa, where Makoma Lakalakala, a tenacious young activist, fought tirelessly against a colossal nuclear deal between South Africa and Russia. Her relentless efforts led to a landmark legal victory that prevented the construction of nuclear power plants, averting potential environmental catastrophe. Makoma's story illustrates how young people can be the most critical game changers in the most critical battles for our planet. Now, turning our gaze to the Philippines, we encounter the story of Mitzi Jonel Tan, who has been at the forefront of climate justice and in the climate movement in her country. Her participation has led to passion has led to her participation in several climate conferences worldwide, where she engages with world leaders, demanding for accountability and action for vulnerable communities. Mitzi's journey demonstrates how young people are fearlessly engaging with the highest echelons of power, pushing for real change. So, in this climate justice movement, what makes us, the youth, such an indispensable driving force that demands our attentions, defies expectations, and basically ignites and raises a passion in all of our hearts? Well, if you ask me, as a 12-year-old child rights activist and climate campaigner, I would say that we bring an unparalleled sense of urgency to the table. We understand that it's our future on the line, and we refuse to accept any sort of excuses or procrastination. Our passion ignites a fire among world leaders and encourages them to act swiftly. Consider here the remarkable story of a young activist from Colorado named Zudas Kettle Martinez, who began his activism at the tender age of 6. Being the youth director of Earth Guardians, Martinez filed a lawsuit against the US government for failing to protect their generation's future from climate change. This lawsuit, known as the Juliana versus United States case, has been a rallying cry for young activists all over the country, demanding that our government take bold action to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and protect the future of our planet. As a regular speaker to the United Nations, Concordia Summit, TEDx, and other platforms, I would also reckon that we, the youth, are innovative problem solvers. Unburdened by preconceived notions, we often face challenges with fresh eyes, coming up and making solutions to coming up with groundbreaking solutions. Take, for instance, the story of Fionn Ferreira, an Irish teenage scientist who developed a pioneering method to remove microplastics from water. His story illustrates the powerful voice and ingenuity of youth. As I regularly raise my voice against global warming, climate change, carbon emission, fossil fuel, I would also reckon that we, the youth, bridge gaps between generations. We foster intergenerational dialogue, breaking down barriers and nurturing collaboration. In addition to our dynamism, we are also unyielding in our pursuit of climate justice. We channel our energy into advocacy initiatives and grassroots initiatives. Basically, our resilience is nothing short of inspirational. Vanessa Nakate from Uganda is an example of this. Vanessa, at just 23 years old, has been the leading voice for climate justice in Africa. She has drawn attention to the disproportionate impact of climate change on vulnerable communities and has called for climate justice on a global stage. Vanessa's story reminds us all that young people from across the world are impacted by climate change, but we are all ready to take action. Lastly, I must tell you that while we celebrate the achievements of our youth, we must also recognize the challenges and hurdles that we face. For example, although I became champion in my goal for a better future, organized by United Nations Environment Program, I often face skepticism from those in power. While I run my own organization named Child and D, where I work for climate, health, information, learning, and development, I'm often dismissed from the world leaders as an idealistic dreamer. However, let me tell you that history has shown us that young people can make a change when their voices resonate with clarity and conviction, and when their actions inspire change on a global stage. The power of youth is a beacon of hope that guides us towards a sustainable future. Our innovation, passion, inclusivity, and resilience shines brightly in stories like those I just told you. The future of our planet hangs in the balance, but the power of youth is at one side of it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Faatiha. I have a daughter about your age, and I will resist going home and asking her, what are you doing with your time? But when I did tell her that you were speaking today, it did leave her feeling very inspired, as I'm sure you're inspiring youth and adults around the world to treat the climate crisis with the urgency it demands. So thank you so much for sharing your voice. Also, we were talking about talent earlier. That's some pretty amazing future talent right there.